just broadcasting now. It's just starting to get working. Don't think I need that in front of me right now. Okay. Okay, looks like I'm live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in, as always. Really appreciate it. It's an honor to be here with you. My name is Matt Bailey. I'm from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, Australian branch. I am the National Ambassador, Development Director, and I do a multitude of things, but I'm sure you've met most of you before. Really appreciate you tuning in tonight and being a part of the discussion, being part of the daily live stream that we do. We're back on Monday. It's Easter Monday, but we may as well get back into the swing of it because it's a new week. And I really appreciate everyone tuning in. So I'm live right now to our Facebook page, our Facebook group, our YouTube Live, and to Instagram. However, if you want to ask any questions, make any comments or anything, the best place I recommend doing that is on our Facebook group, which is where most of our members are. There's a couple of thousand people in that group alone. So jump into that group, have a chat, ask your question. That's where I'm going to be for most of it. And I really appreciate you tuning in with me. So this is great. So tonight's thing is sort of like an Easter wrap, if you like. Monday sort of, as I said, Easter goodies live. The cool thing about that is I get a chance to talk to you about maybe what you're jamming over Easter, what you enjoyed, what you loved, what you didn't love. And the second thing I wanted to touch on today was also this theme that I'm seeing happen with our members at the moment. The theme I'm going to call, I don't need the headphones anymore, actually. The theme I'm going to call it was, the theme was people are opening their bottles, and that's happening more and more at the moment. So I'm seeing this theme happen, and it's a lot of society members are sharing their experiences on our Facebook group or tagging us on Instagram or whatnot, which is great. We're seeing this sort of this, what do you call it? It's this move towards, we're all stuck in isolation, or we're all stuck social distancing. We're not doing all those kind of things. And so the idea is that we're doing a bit more opening of bottles. I'm seeing a lot more of that whole sort of, may as well open it kind of approach, which I think is really fantastic, because we, as whiskey collectors, we often get caught up in that whole sort of, I'll buy it now and drink on a special occasion kind of thing. And it's something I've written about before, it's with some detail. And it's one that I want to touch on tonight as well, about how you can often be in these scenarios where you see something in an outturn, something you're interested in getting, and your immediate reaction is, I'll save that for a rainy day. It's something I'm going to drink on a rainy day, at a later point, and as well. And so the first and that's why I want to just touch on that very briefly now, talking about how there's, as some of you may have seen last week, I opened 112.41. It's not a particularly exotic cask. It's not a particularly old whiskey. It's Tart Fruit Crumble was the name on that one there. I know on those who are watching on Instagram might appear the other way around. I'm sorry. But 112.41, Tart Fruit Crumble. 10-year-old sweet, fruity, and mellow from Distillery 112. Technically Distillery 135 in name, but it's from a different distillate run from that distillery. I've had about a good quarter of the bottle out already. I think it's a very delicious whiskey. I've got a glass of it here. And I think it's one of those whiskeys that just symbolizes just the tropical fruits and incredible balance that you can get out of a distillery that has such an amazingly diverse offering. That's the one thing about Loch Lomond Distillery that I love, is their diverse offering is so broad. There's so much on offer there. Evening Gaucho, good to see you. Hope everyone's well. Quick shout out to Robert Akers, Zena Davidoff, Robert Akers, I just said your name twice. Mindful Building, Muzzman, Whiskey Music. Everyone's tuning in, which is great. I'm going to go at 7 o'clock each day for the moment, just for this week. It's a bit of a nicer, slightly earlier time for some. Plus, anyway, it's 7 o'clock's nice. It's a nice time to have a dram. I don't mind going back to 8 o'clock. I'll see what the consensus is from members, but 7 works, and that means we can go for a bit longer as well. This, as I've already broadcasted on the page, however, there's a whole bunch of things coming up, which is really exciting. Like I said, live this week. Tonight is Easter Goodies Live. This is just a general catch up for us this week, and I'm going to show you. I've got something special on desk to reveal to you shortly. Tomorrow, I've got a special guest from Willing Grant and Sons. Now, he's someone I've worked with on a number of different occasions and a number of different formats over the years, and it's going to be great to have an interview with him. Now, Wednesday food and flavor pairings is still a little bit in limbo because Wednesday night will probably be the Whiskey Roundtable again, which we'll try and broadcast to all of our usual channels as well as theirs. So this is being hosted by the Oak Barrel each week. And they've got 3 regular panelists, which is myself, Andy Milne from South Trade, and Scott Fitzsimons from the Oak Barrel. And we have a chat just about something. We normally touch on a certain topic within the whiskey industry. Each of us contribute our opinions, but we often have special guests as well. I think we had 4 people in last week or something like that, and 5 guests or something last week. So it's a big roundtable, whiskey roundtable each week, which is a lot of fun. And then, of course, that's why I'm just going to play Wednesday by ear at the moment. Thursday, I have another special guest lined up, which is super exciting. He's been on the show before. He's been on the live streams before. And I'd like to welcome back, of course, Murray Hassan for Thursday. We're going to talk whiskey books. We're going to get in deep on this one. This is going to be properly nerdy, talking about whiskey literature. And then Friday night will be our Friday night drinks, where I'll take live calls, take your Q&A, take your messages, answer all the questions, and just have a nice Friday night drinks where we can all catch up. It's a chance for us to all catch up, though. That's the whole idea about Friday. The format's going to be a little bit different from maybe what we've seen before, but that's kind of the fun of it. It's going to be a fun way to actually sort of dig into it a bit and see how we go. So I'll grab some of these comments coming in now. Like I said, we've got a few different streams of comments coming in, which is exciting within itself. Bear with me just a moment. Okay. So we're all doing good. We're all good here. This is fantastic. So, excellent. Mark's mentioned me. Anyway, like I said, we're still getting around some of the nitty gritty of some of these tech issues, but we are live right now to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, page group, Instagram and YouTube. So thank you everyone tuning in. Really appreciate it. Okay, so some of the comments coming in says, is that a Doctor Who sonic screwdriver in your hand, Matt Bailey? No, I'll tell you what this is. This is not a Doctor Who sonic screwdriver. This is a Buzz Lightyear Tokyo Disneyland pen. I'll show you there, so you can have a closer look at that one. But Buzz has lost half one of his the wings pop out when you press the button on the top, but one of the wings is snapped. And it was a pen that I bought at Tokyo Disneyland itself, of course, back when you could fly places. But that's all changed at the moment, but it's not going to change like this forever because we'll all be flying around everywhere soon again, I'm sure. But this was a nice little curio I picked up last time I was in Tokyo. So this is a reference to Scott's "Show us your pens." This is I'm showing you my pens. Here we go. Evening again, Whiskey and Wisdom. Good to see you. Basic Chocolates. Good to see you. Muzzman. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Like I said, we're on every single platform tonight. It's a bit of a trial because we don't always go to every platform. I try to either do Instagram or Facebook, but now we're doing both. So why not? Bit of fun. So this is a show us your pens. Now, I do actually need this pen, and I'll show you why. People also finishing bottles, says Rob Akers. Great to see. Yeah, it is true. People are opening and finishing bottles. It's not just about sort of holding on to that last bit at the moment. It's about sort of opening them, sharing them around, finishing them off, etc. Sharing them around is a bit hard at the moment, but, whoever you live with. Yeah, for left-handers, Mark, for left-handers. I seem to see a lot of people drinking this at the moment. Yeah, drinking what? You mean society bottles? I hope so. I mean, people are opening a lot of society drams at the moment and enjoying them, Danny, so that's good to hear that. That comment comes in from Danny Diamond Sweeney there. Whiskey Man Sam, good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Speaking of places to fly, any updates on SMWS and Champs? Will it be in September or later in the year? Yeah, it's really too early to make that kind of call, Zeno. I understand the frustration that members are having because there was a lot of great events literally on the cusp of happening before we had to cancel them. And there's a lot of great events that we're planning. Of course, the Champs is one of them. That all has to be sort of put on the back burner until we have the right sort of structure in place. We don't want to say, oh, yeah, we're definitely going ahead with events in August or July or whatever, or September, until we know that we can. So that's going to be a little bit of sort of forward planning on both our part, but also on listening to government advice of gatherings and whatnot. And we don't want to be right at the front of that by saying, oh, well, it's fine now if it's kind of not fine. It's a line we're all having to sort of follow here, and I apologize in advance. So that's always going to be the case. I'll grab some of these comments coming in as well elsewhere. So as I said, we have to really sort of just play it by ear a bit at the moment. Do the best we can in working out when we can go back into events, when we can't, but that's okay. We're all We'll live through it. We'll all live through it, and we'll only live through it if we just play the right game and do a bit of social distancing. Some of the comments coming in on our Facebook page, of course, as well. Is nitty gritty what nippy switty means in YouTube speak? Yeah, I guess it does, Ryan. Good one. How do you join with two people at one cart? You can join with two people. That's fine. I don't know what you mean. You can join with as many people who've been watching this as you like. So sorry, not sure what you mean there. So yeah, look, that was the long short. Now, second part of tonight's stream that I want to get onto straight away, because I've been talking for 10 minutes and not really covered much ground yet. Tonight's pen is needed because I'm going to start filling out my version of Create Your Own Whiskey. Now, this is on page 7 of the Easter Survival Turn-In kit that we released. It's on the website. It's just go to WhiskeyWise, go to news. It's right there. It's a PDF you download. It's an 8-page PDF. Print it off, because on page 7 is Create Your Own Whiskey. There's a front label. There's the front label, title, tasting note, front label, and down the bottom it says win a $50 site voucher. So if you share your creative skills with us via social media, and the most creative label design will win a $50 site voucher to the smws.com.au. You can spend on whatever you like. You can subsidize your membership. You can buy a bottle. You can buy some glassware, whatever you want. Post it up to our Facebook group or put it up on Instagram and tag us. It runs until the end of the month. So 30th of April is the terms on that one. If you want to join in between now and then, that'd be great. Let me grab some of these comments here. Hayden Dare asks, Matt, if you have time for a question, for those of us who haven't met you, how did you get into whiskey and how did you find yourself working for the SMWS? Hayden, I've covered a bit of that before, but I will get into that subject at the end of this video. But thank you for the great question. Join the society, I think that question was about. Yeah. So yeah, where was I? Yes. So what I'm going to do tonight, and I'll talk whilst I'll do it, but I'm going to be that guy who starts doing this right now live, so you can see what we're sort of aiming for here. No, not what we're aiming for, but what my version of Create Your Own Whiskey might look like. So as per your question before, Rob Akers, what have I got? Colorful pens. Look at these. I found some of those click pens. What do you call them again? Connector pens, Faber-Castell connector pens. There's a few here. I think I'm missing a few. That's all right. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a title. I'm going to call this. Ooh, what shall I call this? I'm having too much fun with this already. Okay. This is a bit of a cheeky title, but I'm sure he'll appreciate it. Okay. This is what I need a pen for. Okay, I'll come back to the tasting note, but I'm going to call this one, and this one's for you, Andrew. This is called a Durbridge Dream. Not a Durbridge Dram, a Durbridge Dream. So this is his dream dram. I'm going to try and create the ultimate whiskey for Andrew. He might want to create the perfect one for me. We'll see how we go. I need some colors here. Now I'm going to start with the age statement, and I'm going to go with sweet, fruity, and mellow, because that's what it's about. Now, this out of all these Faber-Castell colors here, I reckon that's kind of sweet, fruity, and mellow. I'm not really sure. Question from Zeno before I move on with this. When will the festival tasting packs be live? Same as mid-month? No, festival tasting packs will be live with Outturn, with the May Outturn. So May Outturn will have the festival tasting packs on them, and they'll be orderable with Outturn. They're not going to be as glamorous as our existing gathering packs that you are already aware of, because we've sold out of those, by the way. We're T-minus 1 week until this tasting. Next Monday, the 20th of April, we're doing this tasting pack. The gathering tasting pack will be live broadcasted. You can come taste along with us. There's my one. I'm going to taste this with you on the 20th. We're going to have a riot of a time doing that. That's this day next week. How exciting is that? So if you bought a tasting pack, it was $99 with free shipping, that one. There you go. You're set. You're set. You're ready for next Monday. Just see if you can hold on to it for another week. Otherwise, you can follow along. If you've already drunk them, you can follow along. That's all right. But in the meantime, you'll just have to go with what you've got, and and we'll go from there. So I'm going to call this one a Durbridge Dream, and I'm going to give it an age statement. My coloring in skills are a bit lackluster. I'll give you that one. So here we go. But you know what? I'm going to call this. I've already called it Durbridge Dream. I'm going to go with. Yeah. Okay. It's a really bad 4. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to color that in. I'm going to take comments as I'm coloring in. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching the National Ambassador of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society do coloring in. And I'm doing a rather average job of this one. I might have a second go at this later. But of course, I can't award the voucher to myself. But they will have runner-up prizes as well. Maybe I get a runner-up prize if it's just that bad. Okay. You've seen on the bottles where our age statements sit. They're on the bottom right of the bottle there. So I've put the age statement on the bottom right of this bottle here, that bottle label there, 47 years old. This is a 47-year-old single cask, single malt whiskey right here. Okay, this is exciting. Now I need to mirror the design of the bottle a bit here. Now the flavor strip needs to be sort of about here. Wow, I should have used a ruler. Tell myself that now. This is a bit of fun. I'm going to take some comments whilst I'm doing this because this is ridiculous. Okay. Commemorative bottle name. Couldn't agree more. Ooh, almost spilt my dram. Wouldn't be the first time. Here we go. So I'm going to put that there, that gold strip. Here we go. And I'm going to give it a commemorative label as well, though. I'm going to give it like a fancy label. It has to have a fancy label. I don't think I can draw Andrew's face, so I'm going to have to do something else. But here, I'll show you where I'm up to. Look, that's all I'm up to at the moment. It's just sort of a version of the label, a version of the design, a 47-year-old age statement there, the color strip. I went a little bit far there. And here's the middle section that I'm going to fill out with some more detail. Rowan says, I just logged in and Matt is looking for a ruler. What did I miss? I'm trying the coloring in competition to show you what we're looking for, what we're looking at, what you could try at home. This is what it's about. It's about doing a bit of coloring in. If you go to page 7 of the Easter pack, it's on our Facebook group. It's on our website. It's everywhere. Fill that out. It's a $50 voucher. All you got to do is submit the best artwork, your best version of that artwork. I've started with a sweet fruity and mellow. It kind of looks like a pink. More pinkish than the sort of the almost mauve-ish color of the actual sweet fruity and mellow. That's okay. See how far along we get with that one. And see how we go. Hard to explain. Couldn't agree more. Let me grab some of the comments coming in. Zeno asks, what are the TNC of this comp? Can we have multiple entries? Zeno, you can have as many entries as you like. Shouldn't be original livery. Ooh, it could be original livery. You could do whatever you like. There's no sort of, the rules with this is just the most creative. It's just a bit of fun, guys. 30th of April is that one. And Andrew's right. I'm just looking at the comments on Facebook here. He headhunted me. That is true. The funny story about that, however, is that he sent me an email and I sort of disregarded it at the time. I sort of went, I don't think I'm there yet, kind of thing. I had that sort of like, I didn't think I was ready for sort of that kind of role, if I'm being completely honest. And then I went, and then he messaged back like 2 weeks later saying, "Hey Matt, I was hoping this might be something you'd reply to." And that's sort of where the ball started. But before that, of course, I'd been doing some work with Alba Whiskey, which is a distribution company here in Australia, and I'd done some work with Wonder and Whiskey, which is a whiskey company that myself and a business partner started. Mitch doesn't really work it anymore. Neither do I. But we ran that Melbourne, Sydney tasting events, private and corporate events for about, I think, a year and a half, 2 years almost, which was a lot of fun. We did some crazy bookings in that time. A very different scene, though. I mean, very different scene, especially when the core of what you're doing is private events. It's a different way of doing things rather than just it was very simplistic. But it worked. It worked well. And before that, I did some contract work for a distillery in Tasmania. And then before that, I came from marketing and I came from the music industry, and that was sort of my background. But I was always a whiskey enthusiast, not always, obviously. But I came from a whiskey enthusiast background. I used to host mini tastings in the workplace at the music company I was working at, the music publishing company I was at, which was a lot of fun. We'd do Friday night, and I'd have a stash of maybe 6 or 7 or 8 bottles under my desk of different things. And but I can still remember my first society experience of all time, what a ridiculous phrase. I still remember my first society experience. It was not too dissimilar to Dave Withers' first experience, which he commented on last week for his one. In fact, a good friend of mine, Jonathan Walzak from the Whiskey Ledger, and I were both at the same tasting. We didn't know each other then either, but we were both at the same one. Our first ever society event was the same one. And it was Andrew hosting at the RAC in the Macquarie Room in a classic format. It was about 80, 85 guests in the room. The room was packed. Everyone was enjoying themselves. And the first bottle I bought, which I've talked about before, was a 125.51 or .61. I'd have to look at the code. Sorry, I can't remember the exact code off the top of my head. And I'm really pretty good with that, but I couldn't remember this one. That was it was a 125. It was a Glenmorangie, and it was delightful. It was a young whiskey. It was like 6 or 7 years old, and it was a first fill French oak. That was something else. That was something special indeed. Maybe I should have done an H1.2 with a 47-year-old hand sanitizer. For all the messages, emails, official emails, private messages, and everything that I got, I just want to reiterate that was an April Fool's joke. HS 1.1 does not exist. It was called Perfectly Purell. If you looked at the label, it was a Purell piss take. It was an April Fool's joke. I apologize. I got a number of messages that day saying, how do I order it? I want one. And I said, it's not real. I'm very sorry. There's lots of hand sanitizer out there, but it's not something society's doing. So we're going to focus on what we do best, which is single cask whiskey. Yeah, Andrew, but no, hold on. Andrew, I know you're 46, but this is why by the time this is bottled up, anyway, look, I'm not going to go into it. I'm not trying to rile you up. No, I am a little bit. Danny says, does it have to be drawn or can I do it on my computer? Danny, you can do it on whatever you like. I think the drawing part's kind of fun, but you can do it on your computer if you want. The T's and C's are in the post that I put in this Facebook group, which you're commenting on, which include I'd have to double check. I wrote them all down in there, but it was like, here it is. Open to current members of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society Australia. You have to be a member of the society to enter. Makes sense. Winner is society, most creative, most interesting. Just a bit of fun. You can do it on the computer if you want. Doesn't say that. It doesn't say that you can't. And of course, just end of the month is when we're going to close the draw on that. It's just a bit of fun. It's $50 off anything on the site for someone who wants to enter. And like I said, I've got some samples as well and some other goodies in the office that I'll do for the runner-up prizes. So there's some other cool entries that might not win. There's a really good tip on the top of the page. May require an SMWS dram in hand. I thoroughly recommend it. It's a good way to get right into it and have a bit of fun with it. I said it before. It's like tropical coconut and fruit, like tart fruit crumble is a good name for that. Absolutely fantastic. Apple and pear drops and fresh coconut cream. Fantastic stuff. Kathleen, you're going to enter it. You absolutely have to enter. I promise you have to. So, and as Matt Whisker commented, yes, you do have to, you can enter with stickmen. Of course, stickmen can also be applied, but it's going to have to go to someone. It's going to have to be fairly creative, I think. Fairly creative stickmen. So I've got a few colors to play with here and a few that I've lost, I'm sure. It's an old set, this one. Do they still make these? I'm sure they still do. I've had this for a long time. But it was, it's coloring pens that you can use to create something like this. A bit of fun. As you can tell, I'm a terrible drawer. But if I try something a little bit different here and I can start adding in sort of, maybe something a bit coastal, some waves. I can draw waves. You can't draw waves. I don't know what to say for you. I'm just a terrible drawer as it is. Maybe I'll do some waves. So yes, we do have some special releases coming, which have special labels. And we're going to start leaking the artwork for those in the next little while. How's that for a usage of language there? But that was so, yeah. Like I said, we've got some. It was fantastic stuff. 125. It was a Glen, which I'm really looking forward to. Releases coming, which have special labels. And we're going to start leaking the artwork for those. You are correct, in Alex. The next little while. That was the one. You know which one I'm talking about. Exactly. How's that for There's usage of language there. But Zeno, it'll go on the fridge. It'll go on my fridge. Yeah, like I said, we've got some. It was fantastic stuff. 125 on the fridge. That's what I'm really looking forward to. Releases coming, which have special labels. We're going to start leaking the artwork for those. You are correct. In the next little while. That was the one. I'm getting all sorts of talking about grilling tonight. That's great. Monday night grilling. There's usage of language there. But Zeno, it'll go on the fridge. It'll go on my fridge. It was a 125 on the fridge. That's what I'm really looking forward to. Releases coming. This amazing sort of like I'm going to start leaking the artwork for those. You are correct. In the next little while. That's the one. I'm getting all sorts of talking about house with Monday night environment. Wherever you're isolating or whatever you're doing. But Zeno, it'll go on the fridge. It'll go on the fridge. It was a 125 on the fridge. That's what I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, I was getting some feedback. Sorry, I just fixed that. I know what it was. I'm still leaking the artwork for those. You are correct. In the next little while. That's the one. I'm getting all sorts of talking about house with Monday night environment. Maybe I'll see what's happening there. Sorry. I know what's happening. It's all right. I fixed it. Little tech issues along the way. Always good fun. Yeah. Okay. I've definitely fixed the feedback now. My apologies. Good. Okay. So, Mr. Squiggle, you can go with Mr. Squiggle. I've added some waves to mine now. What else am I going to add? This is turning into an absurdity, of course. You're going to see very quickly in a moment how much of a terrible drawer I am. I have many skills, many talents, and drawing is not one of them, very evidently. And I stick my tongue out when I draw. Maybe some of that. I don't even know what that is. And then I'm going to add in some. Oh, that's a bit bright. There we go. Look at this. Andrew, I'm sorry. This is a total disaster, but it's called a Durbridge Dream. It's got all sorts of silly colors. You can tell how much of a drawer I am. This is why I'm not entering the competition, but you can. So that's where we're up to with that one. That delay button. Are you getting delay? Are you getting is it still feeding back or something? I'm sorry if it is. Okay, great question from Muzzman here. Okay, Muzz asks, it's a question coming through Instagram at the moment. He asks, how far ahead do you plan outturns? That's a really good question. So it's a fairly collaborative effort to begin with. I'll start with that. Okay, thank you for the feedback. It's a fairly collaborative effort between Susie, Andrew, Tamara, myself. Tamara works with us in design. And of course it's back and forth with the UK in terms of their designs, their layouts, their feedback. There's a lot, of course, back and forth with different mobs involved. But to simply answer your question, how far ahead do we plan outturn? It's generally a full month before you see it. So sorry, a full month before it's released, not before you see it. So if it's in the case of May outturn, which is coming up, 1st of May is when outturn hits, Friday the 1st of May. But it was sort of around the 1st of April or just before that we have to start. Which is actually, truth be told, just before April outturn even comes out. So we do need a bit of time and planning, and you can probably understand why. There's obviously printing for those who receive the printed copies. And if we've got things like public holidays, like we've just had, that get in the way of production, then that slows things up a little bit. So there's all these little things along the way that change how quickly and when we need that kind of, and then of course getting all the content together, all the artwork, all the bottlings, and all the info. And that's sort of the long and short of it right there. Back and forth. There we go. Okay, well, that's me for tonight. It's a half-hour chat, like I say, an Easter live. If you've got any other questions, I'm happy to take them. But we'll do a big black label. No, maybe I could do a black label. Oh, yeah. Well, you'd have to have a lot of black ink to get black label going on that one. So follow-up question from Mark Teague says, what is the criteria used in selecting the malt of the month? Availability, outturn in Australia, capacity for price reduction. No, it's a little bit it's a few parameters, Mark. Andrew normally picks out malt of the month based on, we've got to have good quantity of it. That always does help. we don't want to release one malt of the month if there's only sort of like if there's only 20 bottles or something like that. We've got to have good capacity to be able to have a few available. And then of course, it's not always actually dictated by price at all, because if you scroll back through previous outturns, you'll see there's things in there like there was a malt of the month about 8 months ago that the malt of the month was like $289 or $279. So that's definitely on the middle sort of, middle range of pricing up there. And that's not usual malt of the month pricing, but it's a capacity for us to bring it down a bit from wherever it was. And depending on the distillery and supply and everything like that, like I say, lots of parameters that go into that. But so we've got a sort of no, Joel, 1 month ahead. But yeah, it's kind of like there's a few different reasons why we pick a malt of the month. And the main one is there's no main one. There's just a few different things that come forward, but it's also something we want to we want to be able to promote to members as fun, approachable, affordable. That it's one that you can open and it's not something that's not necessarily a special occasion dram. It is a special dram, but it's not a special occasion dram. It's not something that some $500 bottle or $1,000 bottle that you're going to go, I'm opening that on my birthday or I'm opening that then or something. It's something you can grab, take home, enjoy, rather than it be something overly sort of special that you have to have on the spot. As I said, I'm answering questions tonight and talking a little bit about Easter and doing some colouring in. Yes, that's right. You're watching a Whiskey Ambassador do colouring in. And of course, if you have questions, good evening, listening once more, says Jeff Darby. Good to see you, Jeff. I'm taking most of the questions through our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/SMWS Australia. Fantastic. So let me grab some of those questions again. Sorry, I just missed a couple. A follow-up question. I've already asked that. I've already answered that. Did the Easter Bunny come or the Whiskey Fairy come to you? Were you a good little boy? I'm just going to go with yes on that one, Zeno. That's that's definitely a yes. I did eat my fair share of chocolate. Don't worry. I think we all do over Easter, don't we? Whatever. It's just getting better. You know what? That's the other great thing about good whiskey. Leave it in the glass. See how long it evolves. Takes a little bit of time to open up sometimes, and that's always a bit of fun. Why not? That's all from me tonight. I really appreciate your tuning in. As always, thank you to everyone on our Facebook page, which is mostly Ryan and Jeff. Thank you to everyone in our Facebook group. Thank you to everyone on YouTube. Thank you to everyone in Instagram watching tonight. Really appreciate it. It's been a thrill having you all in here and having a bit of a chat with you all. So I'm going to close that out, and I will see you all tomorrow for tomorrow for the interview. See you soon.